Hi everyone, I am going to make another demonstration video for Lova, the headband pattern, using a worsted weight yarn so that you can see it a little bit more clearly how I do the provisional cast on, how I slip the first stitch of each row, and then how I graft the ends together. So if you're going to graft the two ends together, you need to start with a provisional cast on. And to do that, you just make your slip knot around your needle. I'm going to take another knitting needle. I'm not even going to bother trying to find a crochet hook because it's only a couple stitches. So now I have both needles through that same slip knot loop. I'm going to take my yarn around both needles and pull it through that loop with my top needle. It's a little finicky if you don't have a crochet hook, but it's doable. There, so there's my first stitch. Wrap around and pull through. Wrap around both needles and pull through. So let's see, that gives me 1, 2. I have 2 stitches. I'm not going to count this starting one. I have 2 stitches and I need 7. So we do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I'll just pull the yarn through that loop to secure it like that. Okay, so there's my provisional cast on. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. So now I'm ready to knit with my yarn that I'm going to use for the pattern. To do the provisional cast on for the grafting, the first row is going to be a purl all. So you're not going to jump right into the lace pattern yet. You're going to do 1 row of purl stitches to start off. So there we go, 1 row of purl stitches. Now I'm ready to start the pattern. Okay, and so now you are ready to start working the pattern. And you will notice that the first stitch of each row is slipped. That creates a nice chain edge of both sides. So this is going to be the right side, and the first stitch is going to be slipped knitwise. So you're just going to take your needle and insert it like you were going to knit the stitch, and then just pull it off. And then you can keep working the first row of the pattern. Okay, so this is the first row completed. Oops. There you go. So now we turn and we're going to start the second row. So on the wrong side, when you slip the first stitch, it's going to be purlwise. So you're just going to insert the needle as if you were going to purl it, but instead of purling, you just pull it off. And then you do need to bring the yarn around so you can purl the next one. So there you go. You're going to work the next row of the pattern. And when you get back to the right side, you will slip the first stitch again. Okay, so now I've knit a couple repeats. I'm going to do the last row and then show you how I bind off, and then I can show you how I graft the two ends together. So on this last row, I'll also demonstrate the purl 3 together. So we're going to slip the first stitch purlwise. Then I'm going to purl the next stitch. Okay, and then when you get to the purl 3 together, all that means is that you stick your needle through all 3 stitches, wrap the yarn around, and pull through. So you just made a purl stitch, but instead of making a purl stitch into 1 stitch, you made it into 3 stitches at once. And then we'll finish the row. And then to bind off, I mentioned a provisional bind off, but really here all that means is that I'm going to take a different piece of scrap yarn in a different color so that I can see it better and work the bind off row. So you don't even need to get a second piece of yarn. It just makes it a little bit easier to notice what row you're going to take off. You can definitely just bind off in your normal yarn and unpick that row after you've blocked. But here I'm just going to add in my contrasting yarn right there. And then I'm just going to bind off. I'm going to do a normal bind off if this doesn't pull out. Oops. There. So I'm just going to do a normal bind off all the way across. There we go. So all I did was work the bind off row using a different color yarn. And here I can just tie these together, keep it secure. Okay, so at that point, you've knit the pattern, you've bound off. This is where you're gonna block it. You're gonna soak it in water, squeeze out the water, and then if it's a headband, you're gonna block it widthwise. But do not block lengthwise. So pin it out this way to open the lace, but just leave it kind of squished and short this way so that it keeps its stretch. And then when you're ready to do the grafted join, you are going to undo the bind off row. So this is where you just take out the different colored yarn if you used different color yarn. And to make sure the stitches are in the right orientation, you'll see that the 2 sides of the loop are called legs. So you have the left leg and the right leg. The right leg is going to come over the front of the needle. That's how it will be in the right position when you put this back on your needle. So you just pull out the bind off row and put all the stitches back on your needle with that right leg coming over the top to the front, like so. There you go. So we just bound off and we put it right back on. But that's how you'll put the bind off row back onto your needle for grafting. Now we're gonna do the cast on edge. So we're gonna undo this provisional cast on and put it back on a needle. So if I remember correctly, you're gonna undo this side, this knot where your cast on or your yarn end is. Gonna undo that, and then the idea behind this crochet chain cast on is that you can just easily pull it out. And here again, you're gonna want the right leg of the stitch over the needle. So you're going to put all the stitches back on. But as I mentioned in my other video, these aren't the stitches you ended up working. They're the little connections between the stitches you cast on. So you cast on 7 stitches. And here, when I'm putting these loops on the needle, I'm only going to have 6 loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because these were the little connections between the stitches that you actually cast on. So you will need to match the number of bind off stitches and the number of cast on stitches. So to do that, we're going to need to add one more stitch to the cast on edge. And to do that, we're going to slip 3 stitches to another needle just to hold them there. So I have 3 stitches on one needle, 3 stitches on another needle. And now I'm going to make a new stitch right in between. So here's the running thread that connects this stitch to this stitch. And I'm just going to put it up here. So now I have a new stitch. And I'm going to put them all back on the same needle. So there. Now we have 7 stitches on the cast on edge, and they're all going the same way, same orientation. And now I'm ready to graft. So at this point, this is my cast on, this is my bind off. I'm going to put them together. So now this is the bind off edge facing me, and I have the long tail, which I actually need to snip. Okay, so now I'm ready to graft. So take your tapestry needle and put your bind off yarn end through it. And now we're ready to graft. So grafting is purl, purl, off, knit, knit, off. So first we have to set up our first 2 stitches. So we're going to start with the front needle and we're going to purl. We're going to put the yarn through as if we were purling and pull it through. That's gonna prepare that stitch. And then the first stitch on the back needle, we're gonna take the yarn and put it through as if we're knitting and pull it through. So now both those stitches are prepared, and now we can really start the grafting. So we are going to knit through this front stitch and pull it off. Okay, and now we go purl through the front needle, purl the first stitch on the back needle, and pull it off. So that was our purl, purl, off. Now we are going to prepare the next stitch on the back needle with a knit. So knit, knit the front stitch, and pull it off. So that was our knit, knit, off. So again, purl the front, purl the back, and pull it off. Knit the back, knit the front, and pull it off. Purl the front, purl the back, and pull it off. Knit the back, knit the front, and pull it off. Purl the front, purl the back, and pull it off. Knit the back, knit the front, and pull it off. Purl the front, purl the back, and pull it off. Knit the back, knit the front, and pull it off. Purl the front, purl the back, and pull it off. Knit the back, knit the front, pull that off, knit the back, or purl the back real quick, and then that. So can't really see in my tiny little swatch, but there it is, grafted together. You can't really tell where it was joined, which is exactly what you want.